Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another in our AACT10 Project video series where I take my once standard Action Army sniper rifle, upgrade it with a load of Action Army parts, and bit by bit we sort of break down the rifle and say where I think the performance gains have been found, and certainly which performance gains represent the biggest value for money for you guys. So let's have a bit of a recap to start off with. When I first started the project, I tested the standard rifle out on 0.32 gram BBs. I kind of felt like a 3.2 was the bottom edge of where you wanted to be weight-wise. Any lower, you know, you see that variance in the flight path with a bit of wind and that kind of thing. Certainly the standard rifle wasn't going to hop any more than the 3.2 anyway. It really struggled with 3.2, to be fair. Just didn't have enough power, sort of 300 FPS or just shy of 300 FPS, and it was obvious we needed more from the rifle if we were going to use it properly. So where did we start off? Well, initially I went to town and just put a M150 spring in with a new spring guide, and it went nowhere because we just had slam fire, as you'll remember. So no performance there whatsoever. We went back and I've now put in the Action Army VSR10 trigger, 90-degree trigger system, and subsequently the metal piston as well. Do I think the trigger represents a performance upgrade over the original trigger? Now, here's where it gets a little bit complicated, because over the original trigger in this VSR10, I don't think it actually gives you a performance upgrade. It gives you a feel upgrade. I will say that the trigger is slightly flatter and it breaks better. But in terms of performance, because the original trigger was obviously metal as well, represented a 90-degree system, I don't think there's a performance issue with the original trigger. I think this one just breaks nicer. In terms of the cylinder though, there is a performance upgrade. I think it seals better. I think the ring on it is better than the original piston. I keep calling it a cylinder, don't I? It's a piston. The seal on the piston is better, and subsequently we did receive, when I put it all back to standard with the original spring in it, you did see a slight jump in performance. We're not talking massive. It's sort of like putting an air filter on your car. We were only gaining a few FPS, but there was something there, something tangible, but not a lot. So in terms of the trigger and the cylinder, the piston, it breaks better and it does give a few FPS if the original piston wasn't that great to begin with, which this one wasn't. In terms of the trigger though, I really like the trigger in the AACT10 if you're going to use it as a base rifle, because it's all metal. That's not the case with a lot of VSR10 rifles, so it's kind of a necessity. If we're going to put more power in it, you need the upgraded cylinder, piston, god damn it, you need the upgraded piston, and you need the upgraded trigger if you haven't got a full metal sear and trigger unit and all that. Anyway. So, that's almost a must. In terms of the spring and the spring guide, the M150 spring, yes, it ups the power, probably too much. It says it will top it out at 500 FPS. As you'll remember, if you watched the little short that I did and everything, we were topping out at sort of 511, so we were running a little bit too hot. Once we left it for, it was over 72 hours pre-cocked, you take that little bit of edge off of it, you can run a bit more hop on the BB and everything just to take the edge off of the power as well before it leaves the barrel. And we're now clocking in at quite consistently between 495, 498. So that's very, very good. It's obviously a massive power increase of 200 FPS. What do I find when I was testing that? Well, we have a hell of a lot more range. On a 3.2, I would say we've jumped from around about 35 meters on a 3.2. We've jumped all the way up. I was able to hit targets at 65 meters quite comfortably. I actually ran out of room where I was testing the rifle to go back anymore. But that was already pretty much maxed out as a straight line shot. If I lob it slightly and aim above the target, there's more range in there, guaranteed. On a 3.2, not a problem. We have ever so slightly exacerbated the sort of VSR issue where the BBs sort of curl ever so slightly at the end of the shot. We've talked about it before in these upgrade videos. It is sort of a well-documented problem with these sort of style hop-ups with the slider on the side, and how they seat themselves sometimes to hop the BB. And you get a slight inference to the left-hand side. It's been ever so slightly exacerbated, probably because I'm able to run a bit more hop now and get more range out of it. I'm pushing the issue a little bit further. So, it's nothing you can't overcome though. I actually found it was easily overcome just by ever so slightly tilting the rifle, offering the rifle a little bit of camber. You could then predict the shot a bit better and make it fly a bit straighter, certainly down your reticle. So it's nothing that you can't adjust for, but it's something we want to get rid of. Do I think this will hop much bigger BBs now? Heavier BBs? Absolutely. There is more hop left to utilise, quite a lot more actually. So I think we could easily jump to 4s. I'm going to stick for the process of this video with 3.2s because it's sort of set a benchmark now. So where do we go next with it? I'd say we need to address the VSR10 issue and go for Action Army's sort of CNC'd hop-up chamber and that kind of thing. And yeah, attempt to get the BBs flying straighter without me adding tilt to the rifle. That will be the next issue. Will it gain us any performance? It might well do. A better hop up, you might gain even more than 65 meters in a straight line. But I was very impressed. I've got to say, you're talking trigger, piston, and spring. The spring guide needs to be upgraded as well. I don't rate the plastic one you got in this much cop at all, really. So it's nice to have the metal spring guide as well, but I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed. We've basically doubled the performance of this rifle with just an M150 spring and a trigger and a piston. Everything else is standard. We haven't even looked at a tight bore barrel yet. Like I say, we need to do the hop up, get a good rubber. Maybe get some barrel stabilizers at some point. All of these are going to draw this rifle into, much better performance down the line. But as a starting block, you could argue that that's all you need. I could quite happily play on a game day with this exactly as it is now, and I don't think I'd have any trouble. A little bit of lob on, and that sounded wrong. Lob your shot slightly, and you'll get probably 80 meters out of this quite easily. You're going to be judging your shots yourself then, but at 65, that's a good engagement distance for a rifle that we haven't spent a massive amount of time or money on. I'm very impressed. I am. So I'm looking forward to the hop up now. That's something we'll get onto as soon as I can. It's probably going to be another month or so before, unless of course someone, one of the great shops who might be watching this would like to donate one and sponsor these videos. That would be fantastic. But unlikely. But yeah, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this series thus far and enjoy where we're going with this.